We're talking athlete post-workout recovery, where we do applied athlete recovery science. I got a quiz for you this time. Let's see how you do. We're starting right now. I'm David Barr. If you're looking to get bigger, faster, stronger, get leaner, go longer, hit that subscribe and then the little bell so you don't miss the latest tips and tricks. And in this episode of the series, we have a big quiz that a lot of strength coaches are surprised by. This is going to be huge. You don't want to miss this. It's going to change your perspective on recovery. Let's see how you do and how you apply recovery techniques. Do they actually work for you or your athletes? You might be surprised by the answer. So the first component to this, leading to the quiz, imagine a situation. We have a bunch of scenarios for you. So first situation is you are programming for an athlete. Maybe it's yourself, doesn't matter. The point is, in your programming, you will program in heavier days and light days, heavier sessions and lighter sessions, right? And based on how intense those sessions are, you will typically program the next session. So if you're crushing an athlete in the morning, say heavy squats, your afternoon workout, if you're doing 2 days, your afternoon workout is going to be lighter typically, right? You're not going to crush an athlete twice in one day. So you know that your programming influences when you actually train the athlete and how hard you train the athlete. Pretty simple stuff. This is not rocket surgery. We've got a couple more simple ones to show you how obvious it is, and then we're going to get to the hook. This is going to be big. I think this is going to change your perspective on recovery. Next scenario, you have an athlete coming in who's supposed to do a heavy bout of squats. Okay, it's an afternoon session, doing 1 a days. They're a moderately advanced athlete, say in their early mid-20s, so they're pretty well conditioned. You're about to crush them on squats. They come in and say, hey, look, coach, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I'm basically running on 0 sleep. I'm feeling okay, but kind of tired. What do I do? Do you crush them on squats? No, of course not. They're wiped. Their CNS is fried at this point. They need to relax. They need to rest. They need to get some sleep fundamentally. But if they can't, then you're not going to go super heavy with them, right? So you understand that that's a way to change your intensity, change what you're doing with them that day. Scenario number 2, similar situation, but this time the athlete comes to you and says, coach, look, I'm really stressed out. I am in the middle of final exams and my friend's in the hospital having surgery. This is crazy. I'm really stressed out right now. What should I do? Do you crush them on squats? Of course not. Of course not. Maybe you run them hard for a minute to have that catharsis and then sit around stretching and talking for the next hour, but you're not going to have a high intensity hard workout, impose a huge stress on them. They already have a profound amount of psychosocial stress going on, right? You're not going to contribute to that. You understand that. It's simple. Now on to the last situation. Kid comes to you in the afternoon, ready for that heavy squat session, but maybe not ready because they say, coach, I just didn't have time to eat today. I haven't eaten anything since yesterday. I'm really fatigued. What do I do? Are you going to crush them on heavy squats? No, because they have no glycogen. They're fatigued. They have no food in them. Okay, they're probably dehydrated too. Okay, so you know, again, their nutrition status, their hydration status is going to affect how you change their programming. And you can do this in a short term. It doesn't have to be a big, prolonged efforts of, high cognitive effort. It's not a big deal. You just do it on the fly. It's probably very organic for you, right? So last situation, okay, you're ready to squat your kids really hard. You're ready for that planned programmed session. They come to you and go, coach, I got really busy after my last leg day and I just didn't have time to foam roll. What should I do? Well, your response is going to blow up and freak out and say, well, now they can't train because they're not recovered because you've assigned foam rolling for recovery. And now they're not recovered because they didn't do their foam rolling. Right? Maybe not. In fact, do you even care? Why are they coming to you with this information? It doesn't matter. Think about that. This recovery intervention that in this situation you specifically assigned for them to enhance their recovery adaptation doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the programming, the planning, the subsequent workout. Even though we've already gone through various scenarios that would have profound impacts on how you train them, the recovery intervention didn't matter. And yes, I'm using foam rolling in this example. It doesn't matter. That's the beauty of it. You could expand this to any recovery intervention, and it's not going to change. We are applying recovery interventions that don't matter. They're simply not affecting how we train our athletes or ourselves, because we don't know how they actually affect our athletes or ourselves, but we're applying them anyway. Why are we doing this? This is insanity. We already have the plan, we already have the programming done, and we understand the variables that can affect how we're going to train an athlete or ourselves. And yet recovery is so powerful, so popular, that it doesn't matter when someone doesn't do it. I mean, this is crazy, right? So what's wrong here? What is going on? How do we fix this? Well, firstly, we have to understand that I'm not picking on foam rolling. I dig foam rolling for a variety of reasons. We'll talk about that in different episodes, but really this could be applied to any recovery intervention. The reality is we just don't know how most recovery interventions affect that long-term recovery and that recovery adaptation, that adaptive response that we're after. Talked about that in a previous episode of this series. I'll link to it in the top right. Check that out. You don't want to miss that one. So how do we fix this? Well, we need to understand that, we just don't have a lot of information, actual scientific, high fidelity, objective information on recovery interventions and how they affect that long-term recovery, but we are going by feel. It's really about how do we feel, not just in terms of energy level and cognitive function, how sore we are, but are these really the best measures? Is it really the best way to go about applying a recovery intervention and then having that affect how we train? Probably not, right? We're probably after more objective measures of that. Ideally, we would have those, and we could talk, heart rate variability is maybe a great indicator, but not everybody has access to the technology. That may be a controversial statement. We could talk about that in a separate episode, but the idea is understand that we are going by feel. And by the way, I'm not taking away any recovery intervention that you apply. I'm not saying don't do it. If you like it, go ahead and do it as long as it's not harmful, but just be aware that right now we don't actually know how it's going to affect us. Yes, people could say, okay, it makes me feel better, but at what cost, right? Because certain recovery interventions might make us feel better, but they could actually be hurting our recovery adaptation. So that's a huge prelude to an upcoming episode. We will talk about that very shortly. For now, be sure to check out other episodes in this series, get fully caught up, get on the bleeding edge of recovery adaptation, and understand what we were doing when we were talking athlete post-workout recovery in our attempt to apply athlete recovery science. Thanks for watching. I'm David Barr. Until next time, raise the bar.